there's lots of challenges, but at the same time, like, this is what I'm used to. You know, before I met all these people and networked with them, I was the only filmmaker I knew. That meant I had to operate the camera. That meant I had to edit it. That meant I had to be one of the actors, if not the star. That became a challenge that I've gotten used to. This is one of the first films where I'm able to delegate responsibilities. That's not to say, like, I'm stuck to just a few jobs. I have my hand in just about everything, and I kind of like it that way. I'm a bit of a control freak. But it is one of those things where it's like I have to compartmentalize with everything I do. If I'm walking into a table read, I know that I have to be a director, and then when I'm stepping on set in costume, I know I have to be an actor in this situation.
So we need to know, how did you get into Star Wars?
I grew up homeschooled, had a very small social bubble, was very limited on how many like movies I could watch or what movies I could watch. So I grew up with a lot of the classics, like Follow Me Boys, Little House on the Prairie, little animated Christian shows like VeggieTales, 3-2-1 Penguins. Oh yeah, I just took you back, didn't I?
Yeah.
Star Wars was the first really major commercial thing that I was allowed to watch.
Star Wars, 1 billion years in the making, and it's coming to your galaxy this summer.
I remember Obi-Wan mentioning the Clone Wars.
You fought in the Clone Wars?
Yes. I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
What is that? You know, and then the Clone Wars movie came out. So that was the next movie I watched after that, and it was just sort of this culminative thing where like each movie I watched, I just loved it more and more. It's just always been close to me in that way. It's got a lot of heart, but it's also a bit on the darker side. And so Andor is probably the closest in the tone, but we're going super deep with some of the emotional conflict, and the narrative patterns that we're following in this story is very reminiscent of the original trilogy, which I think should be the heart of every Star Wars project you do, is that the original trilogy should influence you on almost every level, and then you decide where you want it to go from there, which was the goal. We wanted to top the first one on many levels, but we also recognize that sequels to Star Wars movies tend to be a bit darker and heavy hitting compared to the first one, and so we wanted to do that same thing with Kestis, is that we wanted to explore choices and identity, and you are the choices that you make.
Tell me, of all your waking nightmares, was this the one you expected to close your eyes forever?
What kind of depth do you hope to offer Star Wars fans with your role as Starkiller?
Well, I tell you what, it's been really fun playing with the character so far, because he's not a canon character. He's not a property of Disney Star Wars. I grew up with the video games. I love Starkiller, but I understand the fact that he's a Legends property. The odds of us ever seeing him being reintegrated into Disney canon is close to zero, and that was one of the driving points for me for this project, is how can a fan like me be satisfied with the situation that Galen Merrick is in? You know, we never got to finish his story. For people like me, for people who are even more diehard fans of the character, that's heartbreaking. You know, like there's nothing worse than an unfinished story.
Right.
The filmmaker side of me, I saw it as an opportunity to offer people a chance to get closure. Say, here is the Starkiller of Disney canon. He can't be the same Starkiller as in the video games. It's just not possible. I mean, even George Lucas himself said that they purposefully amped up his powers in the video game just to make it more fun.
Well, what if we really jacked it up? What if we unleashed it and delivered a Force experience that people hadn't seen before? Why it worked for us and why that was the direction we wanted to head is because it was the one that made you feel the coolest and the most powerful.
George is all about, fundamental gameplay, and so immediately when he saw that was what we were going to do.
So how do you take a character like that and integrate them into a world that's based off of Disney canon? How can we respect a character but also make necessary changes to make it feel right? We've got a great voice actor who sounds just like him. We've got a great costumer who's built incredible elements for the character. I know for me, I have the responsibility of bringing his physicality to the role, and I feel confident that I can do that.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, my man.
Thanks, bro.
Hope that movie and everything goes and turns out well, man. I know
Yeah.
Starkiller's closure it's a big one. So,
Yeah. No pressure.
no pressure at all.